What is that?
Here you go. I don't want this flip. Oh, yeah. Oh. Here's it gone. Oh. No.
What is up, guys? Glad to have you back. Today I got my Suzuki, and we're going to be restoring it.
Now, if you guys have watched my previous video, you know that this is a 1981 Suzuki GS450. I just traded my beloved dirt bike for it, and now I have to fix this. And the only main problem with it now is the fact that the wiring harness is completely screwed. But other than that, there's just minor things. Now, as you guys can see, the frame of the bike isn't in the best shape. This bike has been hardtailed and wasn't done very professionally, so it's kind of butchered a little bit. And it's pretty rusty still. Some of the parts weren't fully painted over, and it can be quite dirty. Here's a better look at the spaghetti mess I get to deal with. I mean, it's just random wires that are just cut off at random points. Most of the wires have all connectors on them, but this is the main one I'm worried about because I can't find the other two clips to go into this. Also, this clip is missing a wire. I'm not sure if it comes from the factory that way. I couldn't find the end tip of the wire. So if you guys know, just let me know. But yeah, all like these wires right here, I believe I counted like all 12 of them should just match up to this clip. So I just got to make clips or solder them all together or something. But it's going to be a mess anyways. But other than that, the motor's pretty strong. I got the carbs on there. I still got to plumb them up and everything, but they're on. The internals of the motor, it looks a little black, but not too bad for a 40-year-old bike. A full exhaust is on, and from what I heard, this thing ran last summer. There's also another mess of electronics up here in the front for all the turn signals and headlight and tail light that I got to figure out, so that should be pretty fun to deal with. Also have to paint the front fork, probably redo the wheels because they're kind of ugly. Maybe heat wrap or reheat wrap the exhaust, and got to do something with the engine because the dude I bought it from was trying to redo the whole bike, but apparently when he was wire wheeling the side of the engine cover, he got hit in the face with an angle grinder and he got pretty hurt and lost interest with the bike. So that's how I ended up with it for so cheap. The only things I had to do to the rear end is just put the drum brake and sprocket back on, which is pretty easy. I just cleaned the drum brake up a little bit since there's a little bit of rust, but it does everything it's supposed to in the rear end, so I'm happy with that. There was a chain on it when I got it and it fit perfectly, so I didn't have any problems with there. But I've actually cranked this thing up. I plugged in the battery and tried the starter, and it does spin, so the motor's not complete trash. But the tires hold air, and I'm desperate to get this thing back on the road again, so stick with me and we can see what we could do. I found this fender, which I'm pretty sure is the original front fender off my mini bike, but it fits perfectly over this rear tire. I think I'm just going to use that as a rear fender. But what I'm actually going to do first is use this wire brush here to brush down this and make it all clean again. Well, as you guys could see, it didn't do it a crazy amount, but I did get a majority of the rust off, which is a good news. You can see all the rust coming off of my hand there. But that should prevent any rust from spreading throughout the metal in the future. Just to show you how much rust did come off, I'm going to wipe it off right here. It'll all contact with the rag and come up. It's pretty dirty. And the next thing I got to do is just paint the frame. That way no more rust occurs after me sanding it down. And for those who may be wondering, like this side cover right here on the motor is sanded down. And you may be wondering why that hasn't rusted yet. It's actually because this is aluminum. Most motors are aluminum or iron. And if it's an iron motor, it may rust, but most aluminum motors won't. And that doesn't mean that aluminum doesn't get corroded. Like, for example, these carburetors are aluminum. And you can see there's a slight bit of corrosion on it. And that's just called oxidation. It's just basically where the water tries to rust on it, but it kind of just sits on top of the surface instead of actually going deep down into metal. It could also just be other types of dirt and grime. But most of the time, that could just be picked up with a simple wire brush or sandpaper. But I think the next thing we got to do is take care of this exhaust. As you can see, this first thing I did when I got it was add some side pipes on there, but I did weld them up good, but I did not clean them up, so they still look pretty crappy. The only problem is it does take like 30 minutes to get this exhaust on and off just because the bolts are in a very weird place and this exhaust is a pain. So I might just try doing that with the exhaust on there. But I do got a record. I think I did get a pretty good deal for this bike. I mean, this engine's pretty mint. I mean, this is the oil level of when I first got it. It's pretty much perfect. But for those of you naysayers out there that say I shouldn't have traded this bike, this motor is a lot more advanced than my old motor. My old motor was just an air-cooled push-rod motor, made like maybe 20 horsepower tops. This one's a twin, dual overhead cams, and makes like 50 horsepower, so that's pretty cool. And obviously the bike has the ability to be street legalized and sold for a lot higher profit than my dirt bike was ever, so it definitely helps in that area. Parts also are a lot more available than a traditional just Jap or Chinese bike, because a bike like this has aftermarket support, and that definitely helps when it comes to doing something like I am. One main issue I am kind of worried about, though, is that these front fork seals do appear to be blown. This one has electrical tape around it, and this one is cracked, and I don't see any physical fluid leaking out of it, but that definitely is a problem to consider in the future. But with all that being said, next up is the exhaust, so I'm not going to bore you with how long it takes to take this off, and I should just be done. All right, guys, after a very long struggle later, I finally got the exhaust off. As you can see, it's still peeling, and I didn't clean my welds at all. I'm kind of thinking about taking this heat wrap exhaust. I might leave it on until I get more, but I mean, the exhaust is in decent shape. It's not rusted too bad. Oh, guys, look at my poor Mini. I just tore it in here. That way I have room to work on my other bike. These even have handlebars on it. Wow. Also, guys, don't forget to wear out protection. As you guys can see here, I got the pipes all nice and shiny, and they're looking fabulous. We got the pipes all shinied up. We can go put them back on the bike. 30 grueling minutes later, we finally get the pipes on, and oh man, do those look good. I'll give you a shot of the other side. Man, those almost look legit. I like that look a lot. Really goes good with the chrome side plate. Man, that looks great. My socket did kind of take quite the toll, though. I'll focus here. Well, with that being said, guys, if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to share some love down below, and we're going to definitely be getting this thing on the road in the next video, so make sure you guys stick around. Even though this YouTube channel is getting kind of new, I still believe it's going to be pretty good, so I hope you guys could stick around. Don't forget to subscribe so you guys get notifications and all that good stuff.